In the room, it is Christin Webb with Women Leaders Walk the Talk, hosted by the Great You Leadership Series. We've got a few more minutes. We hopped on a little early. I think I was just hoping that the technology was working tonight because I always have technology issues. It never fails. But we are on here and I'm so excited. I hope you all see the festive outfit. I love a good theme. And tonight's theme is coaching. And so I thought about how can I, do the traditional sense of coaching. And my daughter, she blessed me with this referee shirt. So I'm so excited to be able to be here with you all tonight. It is April. We are excited to be here with you tonight. It is Women Leaders Walk the Talk. And I am Christin Webb, as I mentioned. And why do I do these? I do these because I just simply want to make sure that I am putting something in place within my organization that helps to truly amplify the voice of female leaders. Not that there aren't already some amazing platforms out there, but I want to make sure that I do my part with the Great You Leadership Series to really hone in on amplifying and supporting and empowering, connecting and collaborating women leaders all over the world. So thank you for joining. For those who are on, I'm going to make sure I give us time to go ahead, jump in, tell us where you're from. How is your day going? We want to know those things about you because while I do have panelists on with us tonight or guests, we want to hear from you all tonight. So drop in the chat. Where are you from? How is your day been going? And just how's it going? So I see a couple people on here with us already. Thank you for jumping on. Started just a smidget early, so I'm gonna kind of go back just a little bit. I am Christin Webb. I am your leadership enthusiast and CEO of Women Leaders Walk the Talk. And I'm on tonight with some amazing leaders so that we can talk all things women, leadership, and coaching on tonight's Women Leaders Walk the Talk. And just take a second, and I want you all to kind of imagine waking up and having everything you need to produce your goals. Sounds kind of lofty. Does it sound like maybe that could be true? But really imagine being able to wake up and have everything you need, like you're equipped with what you need to set out and actually achieve your goals, however they come to you, right? And a lot of times, I'm sure you're probably saying that can't be true that I wake up with everything I need. And the truth is, though, you do. And the thing about coaching, when we talk about leadership or when we just talk about coaching in general, coaching allows us to be able to see things in people or help people see themselves, right? Allowing people to be able to find the answers that they already have, right? Because I said you are already equipped with what you need. So it's helping people be able to identify what they already possess so that they can achieve their goals. So yes, you are equipped with exactly what you need in order to achieve your goals. So drop that in the chat. You are already equipped. That is the theme of the night. You are already equipped, and just coaching allows for you to be able to see yourself. So it doesn't matter if it's life coaching, professional coaching, athletic coaching, leadership coaching, you name it, coaching takes place all the time. And it is critical to successfully leading people. And I'll even say, and you all tell me if I'm right or wrong, but the terminology coaching now seems like it's a trend, right? Like it's new almost, right? But the thing is, it's not new. When we think about coaching in the most knowledgeable sense, which is athletic coaching. When we think about coaching, we're thinking about people actually, telling you, run down the court, give me 50 here, right? But it's more than that. And the actual profession of coaching, or the idea of coaching within leadership, has been around forever. Even when we're telling individuals to get down that court, we're coaching them. And it's happening before they hit the floor. It's happening before they even go out on the field. And even it's happening before you walk into your office every day. You are being coached in some way or not. And so I wanted to kind of bring all of that together, because a lot of times we think of coaching as only in the sense of athletics, right? But it truly is helping to move the needle in leadership and helping to influence people and helping individuals find themselves and answer their own questions. That athlete on the floor, they already have it in them. Just got to be developed, right? that office worker, that leader inside the organization, they already have it. It's just it has to be developed, and coaching helps us get us there. So I'm going to shut up because I just wanted to kind of set the tone and kind of really speak to what I hope for us to touch on. Not hope, what I know we're going to touch on tonight. Because coaching isn't just telling people what to do. It's really allowing people to be able to find themselves. Now, I am on here tonight, but I wanted to make sure, as always, that I bring on experts, amazing women leaders who I bring on to just sharing conversation. So I know I've yapped a lot, but we are going to have a conversation tonight. And I want to introduce and reintroduce to some our panelists tonight who are experts, and they are amazing women leaders. And I'll start with Jessica Green. Hi, Jessica.
Hey.
Oh, I'm so glad you are here with us today. Jessica Green is the head girls basketball coach at Lausanne Collegiate School. She has been transforming teams and leaders on and off the court for a long time. And I'm gonna say, your record, yes, ma'am, your record, you create winners, right? You create winners, but you're coaching them there. So welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for joining us tonight. And guess what? I did my research. Go Lynx. How about that? Go Lynx.
Love it. Love it. Go Lynx.
I'm sure everybody back at the school will appreciate that one. So go Lynx tonight. And then our next guest tonight will be Coach Melisa Grey. Melisa Grey Leadership Coaching. Hello, Melisa.
Hello, Christin. Hello.
Thank you for coming on tonight. I'm so
Absolutely.
glad to have you. So glad to have you. And Melisa is the amazing leadership coach. And I ran into her because you can run into people on social media. I ran into Melisa probably 6 or 7 months ago, and I've been watching her. I'm like, she is doing her thing and she knows what she's talking about. So I absolutely had to have you on because you're doing it every single day, helping really for people to thrive within the different organizations they're in. And Jessica is helping people thrive, or girls basketball thrive on and off the court. So glad to have you all both. So with that, I'm going to jump right in because we are all here to listen and hear from you all tonight. So first up, and I always have to ask this question whenever we do Women Leaders Walk the Talk. The question is, if you had to describe leadership in one word, what would it be?
Ooh, I always say relationship.
Ooh, okay.
Relationship. That's the one word I'll use to describe leadership.
All right. What about you, Jessica?
Yeah, mine kind of goes hand in hand. I wish I had more than a word, but I would start with trust.
Trust. So it's funny because when I do these, I usually say one word, and there's always someone who gives me a phrase. So you could have said a phrase, Jessica. But we're going to go with the first thing you gave us. So tell us, Melisa, why did you choose relationship for your one word?
Ooh, because one of the things that happens, and Jessica said it, you lead through building trust, and you gain trust through relationship. So it's really us, getting to know each other. I'm getting to know what you like, what you dislike, how you like, to have that conversation. It's really through building that relationship that I'm going to be able to motivate you. I'm going to be able to inspire. We're going to be able to work together. We're going to be able to be successful together. And it's through relationship building. And then, using Jessica's word, we're going to be building that trust as well. So that's one of the reasons why I choose relationship. And, through, every day that I'm engaging my team and engaging other leaders, I consider that I'm really building a relationship with them.
I love it. I love it. And I love the thread of where you pulled in trust. So why did you choose trust, Jessica?
Well, especially in sports, there is usually a vision or some type of message that we really want our teams to buy into. And these kids are usually coming from all different walks of life and all different, mindsets coming into the season. So, especially with building any team, you have to have trust to be able to sometimes put aside your personal, goals or gains for the betterment of the organization or the team. And I think it's the leader's job to to set the tone of building trust to cause the players or whoever, in this case, the players, to be able to buy into that and be vulnerable to buy into the team itself. So without trust, you're usually gonna end up falling short of leading a really successful team.
I would absolutely agree. I probably have like a lot of stories where maybe I didn't put a lot of focus going into a situation, or even just having been in the situation for a while and I didn't really focus on making sure I was building trust first, right? Or making sure it was present. Because sometimes we can get clouded and kind of be really focused on what our goals are and maybe not consider it's, let me bring in the team, let me make sure that I am showing that I'm a part so I can help build that trust so we can get the job done. But I think it has to be very intentional, very, very intentional. What are you gonna say, Melissa?
Yeah, I agree. So, as Jessica was talking, I think about, joining a new team. A lot of times you'll hear leaders say, the first thing I want to do, or when you interview leaders, the first thing I want to do within my first 60 to 90 days is really get to know you. But the only way you can really get to know somebody, if you're so intentional about building that trust and building that relationship with a person from a space of wanting to support them, wanting the best for them, and taking yourself really out of the picture and just thinking about, okay, what's in it for me? But how can I, really get into knowing this person, developing not trust to manipulate, but trust to really support and build and grow together. So it's really important that, you're building that relationship, building that trust when you join a team and as you continue to lead a team. So as Jessica spoke, those are just some of the things that really came to my mind.
I love it. So I hear the thread here, and the reason I always ask that question is because it tends to be your personal themes as we talk, right? And as we hear like what's important through all of our discussions. So I really, really can appreciate relationship and trust being the start, and the foundation really of being able to be a successful leader. So thank you for that. So I want to shut up some more and I want to just let the audience learn a little bit more about you, because it's important that when we look at other people, right? It's like, oh, she's a leader, she's a basketball coach, she's somewhere, somebody has trusted Melissa to, lead teams every day and help them grow as individuals, right? Somebody trusted you with that. But how did you get there, right? Like, and you're leading in both those spaces. And sometimes we just need to hear somebody else's story or someone else's story so that we can be encouraged or just pull from it and make it part of our strategy as we continue our journeys of leadership. So my question is, share your journey of leadership and how you landed your current role today.
Melissa, you can go first.
Jump in, yeah. No rhyme or reason, somebody.
Then Jessica
Okay,
said that I should go first. All right, you can go, Jessica.
Okay, sorry. You can go first next time. How about that?
I like that teamwork.
Teamwork. So really, for me, I just have always been super passionate about the game of basketball. Ever since I was a little kid, it was something that I always loved, and I feel really blessed that I'm able to lead in something that I'm passionate about. So my journey just kind of started after my college career. I played college basketball and just started coaching my first year after that, and I've been at different schools and different spots, some as an assistant, some as a head coach. And, the development, I think, of my leadership style and just things that I've learned has just been a lot of trial and error, a lot of mentorship from people that I trust that have been through those experiences to help guide me along the way whenever I need advice, and just being a reflective person. So I really like, after, in sports, you have a preseason, a postseason, and during your season. So, it's broken up really well. So there are times in the year after your season where it's a really good time just to reflect and about what went well, what didn't go well. So you can always kind of be in preparation to get better for the next season. Whether that's as a leader, personally as a coach in this area, But anyway, I think that I've always been able to reflect on what has gone well and what hasn't gone well in my coaching career and build on that. Obviously, I'm not perfect, but I would just say, passion, mentorship, and reflection. Those are the biggest things that have helped me get to where I am now.
I love it. You stole one of my other questions, but I love it. So I love that you pointed out that you are able to lead in a space that you've always been passionate about. Because the truth is, we lead most times in places that we wish we didn't have to lead in, right? There are times that we have to lead, environments where it's not necessarily the passion that drives us or the purpose, but to be able to find a space where you can lead, where you're doing something passionate. So to see that you've been doing it since early on, right? You probably were coaching back when you were a little girl and you wanted to, play basketball. I can appreciate that. And thank you for your 3 traits or your 3 points, which was mentorship, reflection, and passion, right? Those are really, really key and great traits to take into your leadership journey or continue using. What about you, Melisa? Melissa, how did you get there?
I would say I grew into it. Like 1,000,001 failed relationships really got me to where I am today. I remember having, teams that really feared me, like really feared me, because I was really heavily on the side of, the managing side. I was always into the numbers and driving the numbers. And it was really failed relationships that got me here. And I remember there was just a season in my life, I said to myself, it must be better than this. And I had a leader that really invested in me, and she recommended I read a book. And it wasn't even about leadership, but it really changed and transformed my mindset. So I started thinking differently, and I started acting differently, and then I started leading differently. And then the relationship started to grow. My team started to grow. I started to grow. I started meeting different people. And then I started leading in different spaces, and people started recommending, have you thought about Melissa for this? Have you thought about Melissa for that? And then I realized that, I just kept growing and I just kept leading. And one of the things that also is that I kept learning. I just kept on learning. I kept on learning, and I failed. I kept on failing as well at different things. But I also kept learning. And that's really one of the things that really caused me to be here, is just learning from the failures. And I know sometimes it sounds a bit cliche that, you fail, but it really has been one of the pinnacle why I'm here today, because at this level and the mindset or the set mind that I have, as it, when you speak about leadership, it's near and dear to my heart. And that's why I say it's relationship building, because I strongly believe that, the relationships that have failed are the reasons why I'm really here today, because I learned from them. Having, as Jessica said, a mentor, having that mentor, somebody that really invests in you. And, I believe that some of the conversations that we have when we talk about coaching, it's really an investment in you. It's an investment in you. And how do you ensure that the ROI on those investments bears fruit? And I think about that as well. So I think about the investment, I think about the ROI, and I'm saying, okay, how can I pay it forward? How can I pay it forward? And I think about that so often, and that's just one of the reasons why I am absolutely passionate about, leading people and creating that relationship. And I think I'm here today because of that. I am leading in a space where I was not passionate about starting. I was definitely not passionate about it, but it paid the bills. Wow. And, I grew to be so much more passionate about it because of the people that I lead. And when I invest, I am able to see the returns, and it just really creates that warm, in your heart to really ensure that you are actually paying it forward. So leadership is really about relationship, and I say Jessica's word for as well, and trust for me.
I love it. So drop in the chat for us investment. I want you all to drop in the chat investment. And then I have a question that came, Melisa. Pam Johnson, she wanted to know, what's the name of the book that you mentioned? What changed your leadership style, your life? What was the name of that book?
The book was The Secret.
Oh,
It had nothing to do with leadership. It was The Secret. Yes, it was The Secret. And yeah, that's the book I read. Like when I read it, like the principles and the practices, it transformed my life.
Love it, love it. So The Secret, if you all want to find a book that will put, and this is the thing, leadership is in everything, right? So the book didn't even have to be about leadership. We can find it everywhere. So drop in the chat investment, and also drop the words of the night that we got: relationships and trust. Put that in the chat as well. I want to make sure that we walk away remembering that we need to focus in on that. So let's jump over to let's get into coaching even deeper. How would you, and we'll start with you, Jessica, how would you describe coaching? Like if you had to describe coaching, how would you describe it? I know we're going back just a little bit, but.
It's funny that you asked me that now, because had you asked me that probably 5 years ago, I would have answered it completely differently. Completely differently. But coaching to me is being able to meet each person in the organization where they're at, to be able to lead them to be able to contribute the most to that organization. So, earlier in my career, I was like, these kids are going to, this is my standard. They're going to meet me where I'm at. This is what the expectation is, so on and so forth. And as I've kind of gone through coaching and leadership, I've seen over the years, hey, no, there's a fine balance there. If you really want to get the most out of each person in your organization or on your team, you got to meet them where they're at. And you got to develop an individualized approach for them as a person or as a player. And then be able to align that with the mission of the team and the organization as a whole. So, that's coaching to me.
I love it. And what I took out of that is you can't thrust things down people's throat, right? There is a process, there is an intentionality or a strategy even to it, and being open-minded and willing in their ways. So that was good when we talk about, how we actually want to describe it. And I love the fact that you showed the difference between, or talked about the difference between 5 years ago, how you would have answered, because it truly is a growth process. You used earlier, I don't know if you recall, but you talked about trial and error, and I kind of I laughed a little bit, because leadership is trial and error the entire time, right? Because we're always learning something about ourselves, and then we're also learning about others so that we can help them grow as well. But we're able to be more intentional just over time through the experience, and being intentional to take it in and really process it. So I love that you show that leadership, regardless, is going to have these growth spurts that we have to be willing to go through. But your idea about, not idea, but the point about being open and making sure that we don't go in trying to thrust things, and really take our time and build that trust before we move forward. Melisa, I don't know if she may have stepped away. Something may have come up. So we'll keep going. So how did your journey of leadership initially, how did you start integrating coaching? Like the first time maybe you, Jessica, realized that you were even coaching, how did you start integrating that into your style of leadership?
Well, in my realm, coaching is kind of like it's kind of intertwined the whole time. But I've just been at different roles within coaching. With sports teams, usually have the head coach, you have the first assistant, second assistant, and I've just been at different roles within my career as an assistant coach. Sometimes I've been over, guard development. Sometimes I've been over scouting. As a head coach, you kind of got to oversee all of it, and be able to manage your assistants well, and be able to delegate to them what their strengths are, and allow them to take it and run with it a little bit to get the most out of your assistants. So there, within that, the coaching part is just kind of intertwined with the leadership, just in different roles at different times for different seasons.
Awesome, awesome. So Melissa, we were talking about how to enter, or when did you start integrating your integrating coaching into your leadership style, right? Like you intentionally knew that you were actually doing coaching, right? The techniques, right, to the actual coaching when we're talking about people. How did you know or begin integrating that for you, more technique of professional coaching?
So I would say about 3 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I would say about 3 years ago. I've been in the industry for like 15 years, but when you speak about the intentionality of it, it's, I would say about 4 years ago that I became really intentional about, you know, the techniques that I use, even the very languaging that I use when I'm coaching in my space, you know, just being very intentional about what's the outcome that I want to see, and I can partner with what's the outcome that you want to see and how can I help you get there. Just that very intentionality about it. It's like 3-4 years ago, I became very intentional about it.
Good deal. So how do you approach helping others identify their strengths? Because that's what you're doing when you're coaching, like you're helping them figure it out.
Absolutely. And again, it comes back to relationship for me. It's really, because I say to persons, never ask questions that you are not willing to give answers to. So if I'm going to ask you a question and you ask me that question, I'm going to be able to give you an answer. I'm not going to say, oh, you know, it's your session, you answer that, because again, we're building trust. So you should be able to ask me a question and I should be able to ask you a question. So it's really about like asking questions and being very pointed. There are different you know, processes that you go through to ask the right questions and asking it at the right time, which is timing is important. We can go into all of that as well, but really asking the right questions. And you know, as you said that, there's one thing I said to my leader this week: if you could give your leaders one thing, like what would that be? If you just think about giving your leaders one thing, just one thing, all of them, you're giving them the same thing, what would you give them? And, you know, just being able to ask just those questions that gets you to think, you know, let me think about it some more. You know, it's just really coming to that point where I'm able to ask those questions that gets you to think. And when you get the answer, and it's not necessarily the answer, but your answer that you're able to act on and execute on, I'm like, yeah, you're right. You know, so it's really the intentionality about it, right?
I love it. But the reciprocation piece is what, like, you know, asking questions that you can answer, right? I think that was good. So I can appreciate that, but never ask questions you are not able to ask yourself. Is that what you said? Never ask questions that you're
not willing to give the answer to. If you're not willing to give the answer, you know, to that question, don't ask it. You know, a lot of times we'll hear leaders say, and again, like, I'm always being transitioned to new teams or, you know, having senior leadership interviews. And you always ask, you know, what are you going to do in your first 30 to 60 days? And, you know, people talk about getting to know their team. And there is a process to get to know people. It takes more than 30 days. The first thing I say to leaders is, how are you going to enter a team, build relationship, build trust? That's what you're going to think about when you're entering a team. Not just, oh, I'm going to get to know you, but there's a process. What type of questions are you going to ask to get to know somebody? And if they ask you those very questions, are you going to answer the questions? Are you going to be honest? Are you going to be transparent? Are you going to be open with these persons at the initial stage of the relationship? So I don't think leaders should ask questions that, even in coaching sessions, if I'm asking you a question and you want to ask me back a similar question, I should be able to answer your question and not push it aside.
I like it
because we're
building accountability on both sides. Yeah, it
absolutely,
on both sides. So now you're making me think, when I start coaching again, don't ask certain questions if I'm not willing to answer it myself. I like that point. I really like that point. So if you think about like what blocks people from being open when you're being coached, right? Whether I'm getting coached on the field or I'm getting coached in the office, like what are some of the barriers that you know people are processing through or trying to get through just to even be open to being coached?
I would say that they don't trust you because they don't know you.
Mhm.
Yeah, they don't trust you because they don't know you, and there's some persons that have a vibe, right? Like there's a vibe. Like you want to get to know them. You want to get to know them some more. So the blocks come in, and I'll go back into my space when we're coaching teams. And if you're a leader that is coaching a team and there's a block, the first question is why? Just similar, you're asking, like, why is there a block? And I think about what have you done to prepare yourself for these blocks that are going to come up. It is inevitable that there are going to be blocks. One, because I don't know you. Two, I'm thinking that you're coming to change things. It's not broken. It may be broken, but I'm thinking that this person's coming in to change things. Again, I don't know you. And I start thinking that this person's going to be coming in to change things. I don't trust them. And it also may be that there may be that age gap that happens as well. You may be thinking, oh, this person is older than I am. Their tactics, maybe antiquated, or this person is younger than I am. I've been in the industry for how long? Like, what can they teach me? Mm-hmm. So you have a mirror of blocks that comes in when you think about persons being opposing to how you lead. Right. As well. It also may be that when you're going into a team, if you're just entering that industry, persons may think you don't know, this is new to you, what can you teach us? If you're moving from one team within the same industry to the next team, it may be the leader that I had before operated like this, and I'm not sure and again, it is that trust factor, that believability factor, that will just be some of the blockage. It may be that you wanted to be the leader. You didn't get the job.
That's real. And you're right. There could be so many varying reasons. And you never know until you dig and find out more about the person. What about you, Jessica? Like, what have been, I guess, maybe some of the most frequent blocks that you've seen?
Well, first I want to start off with leaders. Being a leader is a really big responsibility. Mm-hmm. You are really on thin ice with the people that you lead at all times. Sure. You have to be perfect in a way, with the way that you deliver messages to players or to, your colleagues or whoever. They really take everything that you say to heart. So you just got to be really careful on the way that you deliver messages to the people that you work with or you coach. With that being said, that's one of the reasons that I chose the word trust, because leaders aren't perfect, just like the people that we lead aren't perfect. So with that trust, the people that you lead are more likely to say, you know what, I didn't like the way that she said that or the way that she acted, but I trust her. I trust that she has our best interest in mind. As a coach or as an individual person. Mm-hmm. So I want to just start with that. I think that, unless the trust is there, everything that you can do as a leader, can go the wrong way with some of the people that you lead, and sometimes you lose them. And the most important thing is to have people bought into your vision and what you're trying to do. Being able to sell the buy-in to the mission is just as, if not more important, of what you're actually, teaching or selling or the job itself. So with that being said, you know, it could be an issue of trust of the person that you're leading. Or, you know, a lot of the times the people, you know, Melissa touched on this, you know, the people that you're leading, your players, you know, you're trying to change something. And it's not always easy to, you know, have someone tell you, hey, you need to do this better. You know, because at the end of the day, no matter how you say it, that is really what you're saying, is saying, hey, you need to improve at this. And some people take it better than others. And we need to understand that that's kind of why I go back to, you got to meet every person where they're at. You got to know who you can say what to. You got to know what things that you got to let go. And you've got to choose your battles at times. Especially in sports, there's a lot of experts out there, a lot of parents and a lot of fans who think that they're experts at the game.
I'm guilty. I've probably been one of those parents.
Hey, I get it. You know, I get it. And I'm actually a teacher too. And I see way less, you know, parents that I teach their kids trying to be experts in chemistry, right? They let me do my job for the most part and say, you know what, I'm going to let you teach this kid chemistry. And I'm not going to say, you should have taught chemical reactions this way, you know, or you should have assigned this homework problem. All that to be said, I get it. These parents are super invested in their children with sports, and it's because they want to see their kids happy and they want to see them do well. It's not anything malicious or anything like that. But with that being said, a lot of times in sports, kids are getting different messages from different people. And so it's hard sometimes for the coach to be able to sell their vision when they're getting other mixed messages from other places.
Right.
So that's sometimes the block that I've come into contact with. But as a coach who's coaching kids, you just got to know that's part of it. And there's no reason to get upset about it. All right. There's no reason to, you know, punish anybody for it. It is what it is. Do coaches wish it was probably a little bit different? Sure. But that's not going to change. And so, you know, within coaching a sports team, it becomes equally as important to get the parents to buy into the trust as well, just as much as your players. But in a different avenue, obviously, there's not as much communication there as there would be with the player, but there's still got to be a common goal with your parents as well. So there's different levels to the leadership, different reasons that, you know, some blocks could come in.
Yeah. And I never even thought about, because what you made me think about was you're actually leading the parents too, right? As a coach, like you are conditioning the parents to respond a certain way, or you're influencing the parents of the children that you're actually coaching as well. So I appreciate that perspective. But what really stuck out to me was the thin ice. Y'all drop in the chat the thin ice, because leadership truly is a every single day intentional. That one day that you off, that one day that you're not as sharp as the day before, everything can go left, and it really could impact the long-termness of the relationship and the trust that you built. You could have built all the trust up in the world, like you said, Jessica, and that one bad day that you're having personally because of traffic or because of, you know, something that happened in the boardroom that you got to come back and build a team, like it can go wrong at any second, and you can lose that trust and you can lose all of that. So we have to be intentional. It truly is. Now I'm thinking about ice skating. Now I'm going to like start equating leadership to ice skating, because it really is at any time you can hit a crack and it's over. Like that ice start cracking, it's over, right? You want to try and help it get back to the sideline. What were you going to say, Melissa?
Oh, I was just saying, you can't have a bad day.
Yeah.
You can't, oh Lord.
Yeah.
I'm just remembering the stories because I can recall, I tell you, like a lot of failed relationships that has really helped to build me as a leader, because I remember having a bad day. I had a bad, the meeting was really bad. And, just coming directly out to my team, and my face did not look as how they thought, my face should look at the time. And I tell you, it was, the narrative was not great. It was very
Right.
creative, right? And it's really thin ice. It's how do I say the right thing? How do I ensure my face, matches the words that's coming from my mouth? And we spoke about intentionality, earlier. And that's why I really believe it is an investment. All of these different things that we do, we're ensuring that, our voice sounds a certain way when we're communicating. We're communicating, whether it's going to be verbal communication or we're going to send an email. We have to choose the right, mode of communication when we're doing all of these things. It is like, you can't have a bad day as a leader. And it's it's definitely thin ice, just, being able to say the right things at the right time.
Yeah,
So
not
good
for the faint of heart. Not for the faint of heart. Yeah.
I think that we like to put what a leader is and what a leader looks like in a box.
Mhm.
And we like to say that as like a very secure person, a very stable person, a person that's very sure of themselves in all instances. And that kind of puts us in a box because, hey, we're allowed to make mistakes too.
Mhm.
And that's where the trust comes in. And, being able to say to your team, hey guys, yesterday wasn't my best day.
Mhm.
And I'm going to be better today
Mhm.
than I was yesterday.
Mhm.
And being able to own up to those type of things without, just being able to be vulnerable, I think goes a long way. And I think that's, if we're asking the people that we lead to do that, right? And you said this earlier, Melissa, about the questions that you ask. But if we're asking our people that we lead to be better, right, and improve, all right, we got to do that for ourselves as well. And I think there's a way to do it where you don't necessarily lose the people's trust of like, okay, this is the secure decision maker, because that's important as well. You, as a leader, you've got to stand in your decisions. You can't be wishy-washy. You can't second guess. So I think that's why a lot of times, people in positions of leadership, even though they know they've made a mistake, they won't admit it.
Yeah.
Because they don't want to appear to the people that they lead as,
Human.
I can't think of the word right now, but
Melissa said human.
insecure, whatever. So, the good thing is I'm in a position where I'm leading kids, and that's a lot different than leading adults. But I use opportunities to teach life lessons whenever I can. And I'm a huge believer in modeling behavior, and that's good and bad. So if I've modeled bad behavior, not bad, it's, but an instance where I could have been better, I own up to that and I reflect and I see that. And so when I'm able to do that, my kids see, okay, she can do that. Hey, I can do that as well. Again, looks a little bit different when you're leading other adults, but with kids, it's a good strategy.
Love it, love it. And we need both of it. And I love
But
both.
you just, I think,
Melissa.
absolutely. Oh, I was just gonna jump in. Earlier Jessica was talking about, just how the leader demonstrates that vulnerability, and that resonates with me. I remember not being able to say to my team that I had a bad day. And it's when I started saying, guys, this is what I'm experiencing right now. This is what is happening right now. And you manage it because when you're dealing with adults, it is, and Jessica just hinted to it just now, how is it that I'm going to, really show up so they know that I'm a decisive leader, I'm a strong leader, you're showing up. And there's just this, and learning, you gotta try, reading, finding new tactics and strategies. How is it that I'm going to navigate being vulnerable, being transparent, and still being that strong, decisive leader that my team is counting on, so that you can model that right behavior for your team. So I remember not being able to be vulnerable with my team. Like, I'm like, if I'm vulnerable with my team, they may not believe, that I'm the one that is going to be putting on that S on my chest and show up for them, right? But it's when I, really learned over time through reading a myriad of books, how it is that I'm going to be able to be transparent. And I through the years, leaders know they were able to be more open with me. They were able to be more vulnerable with me and understand that, we come up with solutions together. And that was really key in helping them with whatever the situation was that they needed a solution for. So vulnerability and transparency is really key, whether you're leading kids or, you're leading in your home as well. So that is like really key. Right there.
And it speaks to authenticity. So you all drop in the chat, my audience, because I promise you, y'all got so many amens, and y'all were just last talking about this thin ice. We started in on thin ice, and clearly it's an area that we all, that sits close to us, right? So drop in the chat, accountability, vulnerability, transparency. Those are the three things I heard you all say, but they still go back to relationships and trust. They still go back to that. And it also made me think about what you said earlier, Melissa. If you can't answer the question yourself, don't ask it. And so if you can't be vulnerable as a leader, if you can't be transparent as a leader, how do we expect for others and for our teams and those that we influence to even want to do the same, right? They're going to be just as unauthentic as you because they are going to follow their leader, whether they want to or not. They're going to follow who they're being led by. So I love that. I love that. So one last question before we get off into my really fun part before we come to a close. This is my really fun part. At least it doesn't take much for me to get excited. I'll say that. But if you had to leave one tip, just a short tip, like maybe we have touched on it tonight, maybe we haven't, but if it's that one thing that you want everybody to walk away with and say, okay, I need to start doing this tomorrow. I need to pay attention to this for me. What would it be?
Read. I would say read. Invest in reading. Really. And I'm not talking about just sitting down and read, I got to read this entire book. No, if you're going to even go through the table of contents and identify an area that you need to develop in and just say, okay, if I was good at this piece, I would be able to do a little bit better with my team, then read that chapter. Yeah. Reading is, and executing. Can I say like, so the one tip.
You said it right. You said it perfectly.
I would say read and implement. Let's read and implement. I'll say that.
I love it. So the tip that you need to take with you tonight and all the other tips, but Melissa said, make sure you are reading and executing / implementing, making sure that you are doing it. And reading, you don't usually hear that when people talk about, I'll say that's not a frequent response, but reading is very, very critical to just enhancing yourself and being equipped to lead. What about you, Jessica? What are we making sure we walk away with?
I got two things. My first one is find yourself a good mentor. Find someone that you trust to be able to help you make, especially if you're early in your leadership group, be able to make decisions. Because it's all about decision making. And when you have someone who you can bounce ideas off of, get multiple perspectives, and really just be honest with to give you good advice. All right, that is just invaluable. And then the second thing is just don't take yourself too seriously. I think so many times, we're so hard on ourselves, and if you're being hard on yourself, I can promise you're doing better than what you think you are because you care. And so just don't take everything so seriously. Things that mean, get you real amped up in the moment, a month from now, 6 months from now, you look back and you're like, why did I get so upset about that? So just don't take yourself or the situation too seriously. You're doing better than what you think you are.
I love it. That is awesome. And it's because you care. It literally, it stung. I was like, oh, that's why I'm so hard. Cause I care. I really want to improve. Right. So I love that. If you don't care, I just love it. That really hit home. And then not taking yourself too seriously. because we are going to not always hit the mark, right? And then I just believe, when I think of not taking ourselves too seriously, just allowing time to have fun and let loose and not be so caught up in the moment. My team, they probably think I'm crazy because I'll run down the hall with bells and I'll talk loud and I'll leave notes on the walls and just anything sometimes to break up the monotony of like just getting the work done sometimes. So I love that, just not taking yourself so seriously. When you mess up, laugh at yourself, right? I'm sure I'll be going back laughing at some stuff tonight watching the live replay. But this has been amazing. Like, I heard the theme of relationships and trust the entire time. And I knew, and I know every time we start that way, we're going to end that way. And those are really, really important leadership skills / ability, you're enhancing your ability to coach. So I love it. So we're going to do the fun part before we get out of here. I always play this or that. That's the name of the game today. But so it's going to be this or that. Don't think too hard. Don't think too long. I'm going to say I'm going to say item A and item B. Just pick one, okay? All right, so here we go. Here we go. First one is cheer or gymnastics.
Cheer.
Gymnastics. I was watching those girls this weekend, and they are beasts. They are beasts, all the splits they do.
Absolutely. I admire both sides, especially if you do like competitive cheer and you're doing all those somersaults and things that I'm too scared to ever try on my own. And then you're doing the same thing in gymnastics, but at a whole nother level, right? You're trusting these beams and these arm holders, whatever they call them. But absolutely. Okay. So I think we're going to go with cheer. I think we got 2 out of 3 cheer. All right. So weightlifting or cardio?
Oh, cardio for me.
So
I'm going to say cardio too.
Okay. Yeah, I cannot stand to walk, run, do anything where I feel like I got to do that to get to the end. That's what cardio does for me. So I'm a weightlifter. So I'm going weightlifter. But sounds like we have the cardio in the bag on that one. All right, this one is a special question. My daughter, my 15-year-old, gave me this one to ask, and I promised her I'd ask it. If you were going to be a coach, are you going to be the nice coach, or are you going to be the strict coach, the one hollering at you as you get down the line? Which one are you, nice or strict?
Oh, I'm mean. I am mean as
Own it. I love it.
I'm the strict coach. I like me, but
we got 2 meanies on the call with us tonight. No, I'm kidding. Two strict coaches. And you know what? I probably get tagged strict. I learned from a team I had once upon a time. After I left them, they used to call me nice, nasty behind my back. And that's okay. I've grown since then, all right? But they probably would have said I'm a strict coach.
Right?
We're old school. We are old school.
I am. That's how I came up. I got strict, you know. And I think I turned out okay. I don't care what y'all say. All right. So next up is individual contributor or a group project. So you either work on a project by yourself or you working in a group. Which one? Depends on the project. I don't have a project type.
Right. I'm going by myself unless it's some housework.
Unless it's housework. I love it. What about you?
I'm good. If I don't have to lead, then I'll do group. If I don't have to be the leader, I'll do group. Because sometimes I'm like, if I always have to be the leader, then I'll just go by myself this time. But I'll do group.
Okay, all right. So I'm gonna go, and I actually I just finished up an Enneagram personality test recently. So I'm gonna go individual contributor. If you can give me my time to do things at my own pace and then maybe meet back up with the group, cool. But so we got 2 individuals, 1 group. Let me see, I got one more. I was really excited about these. Hold on. No, I got more than one more. Hold on. We still got a few minutes. You like, yes, more. Okay, so we still got a few minutes. Rugby or soccer?
It's
Soccer.
for me.
I went with soccer too, so we got a consensus on soccer for that one. and audience, y'all put, folks in the chat, you all put
No rugby.
ball with
No
pick too.
rugby.
Awesome, awesome. Okay, let's see what else we have. I think that might be it. That was the last one. I'm sorry, y'all. Oh no, it wasn't. Excuse me, because this was really important. This was really, really important. We're gonna go from the West Coast and we're gonna come to the South. Memphis Grizzlies or Los Angeles Lakers. What are we doing? What are we doing? We're in the playoffs right now. What are we doing? Memphis Grizzlies or Los Angeles Lakers?
I'll
Grizzlies,
say the
baby.
Lakers. I think I grew up on the Lakers.
Okay. You grew up on the Lakers. Look, she's not from Memphis, Jessica. We're gonna give her a pass.
Right?
Does she know LeBron James on the Lakers?
You said, did you know LeBron James plays what?
For the Lakers. I don't know how you can root for that guy.
Ooh. I don't know.
Shots fired. Well, I will not turn my back on my Memphis Grizzlies, so I'm going to have to go with the Memphis Grizzlies on that one. So they are in the playoffs. Much luck to the Memphis Grizzlies. We need you all to pull it through. And I don't watch basketball much, but I'm still going for my Memphis Grizzlies. So thank you all for playing or indulging me in my this or that. So this has been an absolute joy, you all. Thank you all for putting up with me in my referee inspired outfit tonight, as we talked about all things women leadership and coaching, right? So I want to say thank you to Melisa and Jessica. You all, thank you for saying yes. Thank you for being willing, and thank you for jumping on and sharing all of your expertise and your insight. And honestly, being vulnerable and transparent with us tonight. And I also want to say, as I feel like we are building relationships and building the trust, even amongst us, as we're still getting to know each other. So thank you. But what's important is I want to make sure that we are supporting you and we are supporting initiatives or anything that you all have, or maybe if we could just, if we follow, kind of keep up with you, where can our audience kind of, follow you, or if there's something you want to kind of put on our plate to pay attention to and support, what would it be?
So for me, you can always follow me on Instagram at Coach Melisa Grey. You can put it in the chat. That's where you can follow me. You can jump in my DM, ask me any questions. We can connect over there. And that's where I play. That's really my playground. It's on Instagram, Coach Melisa Grey.
Awesome. We got that in the chat. And she is not telling stories. She will answer your DM, okay? This is not lip service. I know from experience. Awesome. What about you, Jessica?
I'm not really on social media a ton, but I will put my my Facebook page on the comments. So if you want to add me and collaborate or anything about anything, just feel free to message me.
Awesome. And if nothing else, y'all make sure y'all send good vibes to Jessica and Melisa, whatever their endeavors are. Go links for the coming seasons. And any team that Jessica leads, we definitely want them to be successful. And then Melisa, I definitely wish you well on all of your endeavors. To my audience, to the other panelists, you all are panelists in the audience as well. Thank you all for taking the time to sit down with us tonight and really dig in on women leadership and coaching on Women Leaders Walk the Talk for April. So with that, I'm really excited. We are going to have another session May 25th. I'm not going to give away the topic yet, but come back May 25th, same place, same time. We are going to talk women in leadership and some other stuff. Don't miss out. More details to come later. And other than that, if you aren't already, follow the Women Leaders Walk the Talk group on Facebook and Instagram. We are now on Instagram as well, so follow the group there. And then visit our website, www.thegreateryouleadershipseries.com. .com. We want to make sure that we are getting you connected with everything that you need for your leadership. So more events and opportunities coming. Thank you all for joining me. Go out, go back and do whatever it was you were doing for the night. And as always, let's lead. Thank you all.
Thank you.